You know, it's been a while since we've heard anything from religious nutjobs. Maybe things are improving. Maybe people are getting more rational. My faith in humanity is restored.
Only if there is a God who says murder is wrong, is murder wrong?
And it's gone.
Is murder wrong?
Yes.
Is it evil?
Yes.
Nearly everyone would answer yes.
Good.
How do you know?
I know because of a logical chain of argumentation from first principles. It's called Deontological ethics. I've laid it out in my video, Libertarianism and Property Rights from First Principles. Link is in the description, and it'll also be in the end screen.
If I asked you how you know that the Earth is round, you would show me photographs from outer space or offer me measurable data. But what photographs could you show? What measurements could you provide that prove that murder or rape or theft is wrong?
This is an invalid question. We're talking about a question of deontology. That's derived logically. It's kind of like asking what photographs could you show or what measurements could you provide to show that there are an infinite number of primes. Well, you can't, and yet we know there are an infinite number of primes thanks to a logical proof from Euclid 2,300 years ago. You don't need to observe or measure these things. You deduce them logically. And when you do that, you can know it for absolute certainty. There is no doubt whatsoever that there are an infinite number of prime numbers. And there is no doubt whatsoever that murder cannot be justified. By the way, I assume we're defining murder as an unjustified killing and not a killing in like self-defense, but I mean, that's kind of circular, isn't it? I mean, of course, an unjustified killing is unjustified. You know, a better question would be, why is it wrong to kill someone outright as opposed to killing them in self-defense? Well, I lay that out in that video. But it's a nuance this guy just doesn't seem to get.
The fact is, you can't.
Already have.
There are scientific facts, but without God, there are no moral facts.
Yes, there are. It's called deontological ethics.
Every atheist philosopher I have read or debated on this subject has acknowledged that if there is no God, there is no objective morality.
Citation needed.
Judeo-Christian values are predicated on the existence of a God of morality. In other words, only if there is a God who says murder is murder wrong?
And then he goes on to order his followers to murder lots of people, including women, children, and even livestock. What's up with that?
The existence of God only ensures that good and evil objectively exist and are not merely opinions.
Okay, so where do they come from? If they come from God, doesn't that mean they are merely opinions? Just God's opinion? That's all you're doing. You can't think of any way that these can be anything other than opinions. So in order to avoid complete relativism, you have to make those opinions come out of God's mouth, but it's still opinions. This goes back to Euthyphro's dilemma. Is something wrong because God says it's wrong? Or does God say it's wrong because it's wrong? If it's the former, which you seem to be saying, then it's still opinion. It's still subjective. It's just God's subjective opinion. If it's the latter, if God is saying it's wrong because it is wrong, then it must be objectively wrong, which means there's a logical way of getting there without God. You just bypass the middleman and go straight to the objective logic. This is a completely self-defeating argument.
Without God, the words good and evil are just another way of saying I like and I don't like.
Which is basically everything that people have done. This has been shown over and over and over again throughout history. People don't look to God to decide what's right and wrong. They decide what's right and wrong for themselves, and then whatever they decide is right, they put into God's mouth for justification.
It is not a coincidence that the rejection of Judeo-Christian values in the Western world by Nazism and communism led to the murder of all these innocent people.
Wow, really? You're going there? You do realize how long that idiocy's been debunked, right? Including by me. I'm going to put a link in the below box.
It is also not a coincidence that the first societies in the world to abolish slavery an institution that existed in every known society in human history, were Western societies rooted in Judeo-Christian values.
But Judeo-Christian values had been around for 1,800 years. So why did it take them so long? No, it was not Judeo-Christian values. It was the values of the Enlightenment, which Judeo-Christians had to be dragged into kicking and screaming. And even while it was going on, even as the Civil War raged, it was Judeo-Christians and preachers who were the most vocal defendants of slavery.
And so were the first societies to affirm universal human rights.
Nope, that was the Enlightenment again. We had had thousands of years of countries built on Judeo-Christian values, and there was nothing like that in any of them. In fact, they murdered people like Giordano Bruno by burning them at the stake just for saying that there might be other planets with other people on them.
To emancipate women and to proclaim the value of liberty.
Again, we didn't see any of those for the 18 centuries that governments based on Christianity ruled the West. Only when those started being rejected in favor of secularism did you start having those. And to this day, there are many Judeo-Christian preachers and other people who oppose them, who say that the Bible says that man has dominion over woman. Because actually, it does. That's exactly what it says. Where are the anti-slavery clauses in the Bible? I can't find any. I can find many that are pro-slavery, including in the New Testament.
Today, the rejection of Judeo-Christian values and moral absolutes has led to a world of moral confusion.
You do know that the murder rate has been declining, right?
In the New York Times in March 2015, a professor of philosophy...
Oh, well, there's an expert I'm willing to listen to.
He wrote, "What would you say if you found out that our public schools were teaching children that it is not true that it's wrong to kill people for fun?"
Well, first of all, I'd say citation needed, and even if you confirm that, then I'd say this is why government shouldn't be put in charge of schools. But that's a different issue entirely.
The overwhelming majority of college freshmen view moral claims as mere opinions.
In a country that's 80% Christian, I think you're defeating your own argument there.
Here is a fact. Without a God who is the source of morality, morality is just a matter of opinion.
Or an unbroken chain of logic from first principles resulting in a sound set of deontological ethics that can't be manipulated to say that genocide is right, or slavery is right, or any of the other things that people have used the Bible to support, because the Bible actually does support them.
So, if you want a good world, the death of Judeo-Christian values
is an essential part of it. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, why not hit like and subscribe? And to make sure I can keep producing content, support this channel by becoming a patron. And check out all the other great content here, like this video selected especially for you.